Okay, here's three really good sample problems just to kind of cover all the bases of what you might see on your homework. Example number one. Hopefully you look at this and you go, wait, I'm not going to make this any messier than I need to. That's a perfect square trinomial. That isn't. This clearly isn't. So we go, okay, let's take advantage of this one. This one's the silver platter one. Factor that. X plus 6 squared equals 81. Look for those little shortcuts. They're given to you for a reason. And then bada boom, bada bang, do the right thing. So I'm going to reverse this. I'm going to get x plus 6 equals, plus or minus, square root of 81 is 9. So really that's x plus 6 equals 9. X plus 6 equals negative 9. Subtract 6, I get x is 3. Subtract 6, I get x is negative 15. So, not bad, but still a little tricky. Let's find this one. We do not have a perfect square trinomial. Now, I think a lot of you might just say, hey, this has to be a 1. So I'm going to go ahead and divide this all by 2 just to get started. Now, we clean that up. X squared plus 4x minus 1/2 equals negative 5. You go, whoa, that's definitely not a perfect square trinomial. So I'm going to add that yucky half over there, add it over here, and I'm going to get x squared plus 4x, here we go, plus space, equals, now we got to add these together right and end up with a fraction. So that's negative 10 over 2, that's what negative 5 is, plus a half. So I get negative 9 halves. Well, take half, 2, square it, that's a 4. If I add a 4 over there, I got to add a 4 over here. I've arrived at my perfect square trinomial, so x plus 2 squared equals 4 is the same thing as 8 halves, so I get negative 1/2. Now we're ready for the bada boom, bada bing, do the right thing. Bada boom, bada bing, do the right thing. So I get x plus 2 equals, plus or minus, now watch this now. I'm going to kill two birds with one stone. The square root of a negative 1 is just I over the square root of 2. I'm going to get that radical out of the denominator and clean this thing up. So I get x plus 2 equals, plus or minus, I square root of 2 all over 2. So I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides, and I get x is negative 2 from here, plus or minus, I square root of 2 all over 2. Weird looking answer. There she is. Now we got one more type of problem that could give you fits. If we just look at this and think, yuck, don't like fractions, take half and square it. See, this is a 1, so we have the potential of just taking half and squaring that, but we don't really want to deal with fractions if we don't have to. Nice thing about equations, you can multiply them by anything you want. So what number could I multiply all of this by to get rid of all those fractions? Well, that would be a 3. So if I distribute, and distribute, I'd get 3x squared. These would cancel, minus 2x, and then 3 times negative 1/3 is negative 1 equals 0. Now, if you're looking at this and you're thinking, wait a minute, I thought you said this has to be a 1. And that is true. It must be a 1 in order to use completing the square. Now this one, you're like, well, then I'm going to have to divide by everything by 3. And you're not wrong. So if I divide that all by 3, it's kind of like this was a waste of time. So I would end up kind of going back to where I started and realize, you know what? I have to deal with fractions if I'm going to use completing the square. And this one's kind of for the advanced, if you need to be pushed a little bit, because the problem is going to be dealing with fractions. So I'm going to deal with this the way I dealt with the others. So I'm going to add 1/3, add 1/3, and I get x squared minus 2/3 x plus space equals 1/3. Here comes a little bit of a yuck. What's half of 2/3? Well, if I take half of 2/3, I get 2/6, which is 1/3. Now, I could say, hey, what's half of 2/3? That should have taken me right to 1/3. What do I got to do to this? Square it. So that would be 1/9. If I add 1/9 to that side, I got to add 1/9 to that side. Believe it or not, this is a perfect square trinomial. So I would say, okay, let's take a look at this. Now, if you guys haven't learned this lesson yet, x squared plus 4x plus 4, and it always goes into x plus 2 squared, we learned that you just take the square root of that last term and put it here. We stick with that rule. The square root of 1/9 is 1/3. Now this is a minus, so that's x minus 1/3 squared. Now we got to take care of this side. 1/3 is the same thing as 3/9. So 3/9 plus 1/9 is 4/9. So bada boom, bada bing, do the right thing. So I get x minus 1/3 equals plus or minus 2/3. Add 1/3, add 1/3, and I get x is, I'm going to do a little math in my head, plus 2/3, the positive 2/3 plus a third is 3/3, just 1. Negative 2/3 plus a positive 1/3 is negative 1/3. That one qualifies as a doozy. I would put one like that on a quiz or a test just to challenge you, but I think this is more than what's expected of you. I just wanted to open your eyes to it. And yes, there's a different way to solve these, but our focus is complete the square, complete the square, complete the square. So I want to roll it out to you. Okay? There you go.